Your favorite asks, what are your tips to forming a band? I'm a bass player. Oops. Well, that's my first tip. And a singer and would like to pursue music. Okay. I can probably, I'd say I'm fairly qualified to answer that. I think the first thing, this is not even the first thing. This is thing number 0. When doing music and starting a band, practice so much. Like, get together in a room and practice as much as you possibly humanly can. Get super tight as a band. Learn how to write songs with other people. If you already know how to write songs, and everyone in the band already kind of knows how to do that, just practice every day. Be so in tune with being in a band, because there's so many other nebulous aspects once things start moving to being in a band, that the fundamental thing of being really fucking good and tight as a band is like the first thing for some reason that gets pushed to the wayside as like, oh yeah, we're a band, fucking, that's for sure. We don't need to practice. That's the number one mistake, because you see all these bands that are really good bands and they start, finding some success online and things are happening. And then they're like, oh, we don't need to really progress as a band anymore. People like this. And then you don't practice. And then it's the easiest way to have things fall apart as soon as they're starting to go good. So number one is, if you're in a band, practice so much. And if you're not in a band yet and you're just playing an instrument or singing or whatever, you're filling a role that you would be in a band, before you've found a band, get so good at your instrument. If you play and you want to sing, get good at doing that. I'm going to sneeze. Oh God, I feel it. I'm going to come. Just be so good at your instrument, as good as you can be. Because there's a lot of benefits to being in a band, and it's the best thing in the world. But it's pointless if you suck at your instrument. And I'm saying this as someone who did that as a young kid. That was like, oh, I've had 2 weeks of guitar lessons in 6th grade, and I really like playing music, but guitar's kind of hard. And this band said that, hey, if you can be a bassist, which is 2 less strings, no one wants to be a bassist, you can be in the band. I never got good at bass for like fucking 6 years after that. I was like playing on stage to like sold out shows, headlining shows with 2,000 people a night there to see us. And I was playing at a 6th grade level, like could barely read tabs, and that's it. Had no like theory in me whatsoever, which is another thing that you should definitely get good at. That's for like later stages when you're in a band, like once things start getting going and you're going into like studios and rooms to write with people. You gotta know theory, dude. Like it's okay if you don't, like, if your band doesn't know theory, if there's like one guy in the band that's really good at it, that'll be like your saving grace. But a whole band that every single member like knows theory like the back of their hand, is gonna, one, impress people behind the scenes, like those producers, those, administration manager type people, as like a band that's not fucking around and is like, a lot of a bunch of bands where it's like, oh, they're all really talented, whatever. And like, there's one guy that can kind of help lead a session. Oh, they're still cool. Like, we're going to make something good. Like, but they might be more trouble than they're worth. When it's a band of like laser focused musicians that know theory and then also know songwriting really well and also know producing really well, and then on top of that might even know engineering really well, those bands are unstoppable. Your growth is going to be 10x, even 100x, compared to a band that doesn't know theory. Again, this is coming from experience, because I was the guy that didn't know theory in almost every one of my bands, and I suffered a lot in my personal development and kind of like personal weight within the band, because I never learned theory. And then it would push me to focus more on things like social media to like really improve my, sorry, Siri was trying to talk to me. Improve my value proposition to the band to justify me being in it. I'm like, oh, he's like kind of a shitty bass player, but he goes crazy live and he's insanely good at social media. Well, the second that they don't need you, it's because there's plenty of dudes that can play insanely well and no theory and go nuts live. And the second the band starts getting traction on its own and doesn't need as much help, like finding new ears, you have put yourself in a position to just get absolutely axed. And luckily when I'm talking about that, I kind of tell that was the position I was starting to get in with my last band. Luckily I had way more experience than everyone else in that band. So they still kind of looked to me for guidance, and as like a kind of a crucial part to the project in order to move forward. But again, those days are always numbered. And because I use the justification of, I got to provide all this value on social media or experience in navigating record deals and how to tour and how to be a band, how to run this, and how to monetize. And like, it just like, that was my justification for not getting better at my instrument or not learning theory like the back of my hand. And that is a self-fulfilling prophecy like no other. So that is my best advice for starting a band. Practice a ton, get super good at your instrument, no theory. And then the advanced stages, which I won't even touch on, is start learning how to engineer. Get GarageBand, get Logic, get Ableton, get Pro Tools, get Reaper, get Studio One, whatever it is. Start learning how to engineer, because that will just increase your value as a musician and also as a band, once you have a band, even further. So